Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Mr. Layers. Hope you had a good Christmas today. As you can see from my thumbnail, I'm going to be reacting to this Avatar: The Last Airbender trailer teaser. Now, the first season was pretty good. There was a few changes that I didn't really enjoy. I guess one of the good parts that I liked was when they gave Azula more screen time, having her be introduced more earlier on in the season than in the show. And from what I've seen from the casting, the girl who's going to be playing Toph looks pretty good. But let's look at this trailer and give them our thoughts on it. Start it here in 3, 2, 1.
Everything is vibrating. All around us. The world is turning. There is a secret life beneath us. We're all connected through the earth.
Okay. Seems pretty good so far. Pretty short though, but from what I could tell, it was a good that they showed Toph's sense from in the show. So at least we know that's going to be a factor in the season. Look like there's going to be some more Azula action. Her lightning bending looks okay. And this is right here. This would be the Serpent's Past episode. But it looks like Appa is there, which is kind of different from what the show did, because in the original show, Appa wasn't there. So I'm wondering if they're gonna skip. Oh, please don't. I'm hoping that they don't skip Appa's Lost Days, because the only reason why they had to do the Serpent's Pass is because Appa wasn't there, because they lost him in the sand bending area in the library. So if Appa's there, that means they might skip Appa's Lost Days or give Appa's Lost Days a different context. But from what I also saw, it looked like we see more action scenes, because in Appa's Lost Days, they had a brief encounter with the Kyoshi Warriors and Azula. So maybe they're going to give that some more fight scenes in that one encounter if they do Appa's Lost Days. But overall, I think the teaser was pretty good. It was pretty on the short side, given it's a teaser trailer. So maybe they're going to show an official trailer for when the show comes out. But overall, I would give it a good. I'll give it a 5 in terms of excitement for it. Oh, you got to give it a 7.5. Okay, that's a good number. Because I know it has been a while since I've seen the original show, but I am pretty certain that Appa wasn't there when they did the Serpent's Pass episode, if my memory is correct. If my memory is correct. Okay, the next thing I got on my docket. Now I know this is also a teaser. There's not really much there, but I'm going to look at the Avengers Doomsday teaser that they showed off. Okay, looking fine so far. Yep, the classic Avengers music. Get your nostalgia ready. Oh, December 18th, huh? That's my birthday. So I got something to look forward to. Now, they seem like they're going to be out of ideas. If they're bringing the Iron Man guy back and Steve Rogers back, they must know, like, yep, Phase 5 wasn't a good track record because I never watched anything. After Endgame, I've been watching like reviews and breakdown videos on each of the shows and movies that came after Endgame. So I am caught up because after Endgame, I was like, all right, I'm going to back away, give it some time. So the only thing I have seen is mainly the animation stuff, because that's the stuff that I interest me at the moment. So the what if stuff, I saw that. Only downside of that, I wish that the what if episodes didn't really focus. It focused more on Carter more, since she was that version's Captain America, and she got the spotlight mostly. Some of the what if episodes were pretty good that I liked. I did enjoy the Hella one And then we got the zombie one, which they branched off to make its own TV show, its own animated TV show later on. So that was okay as well. I'm not really sure. I'm given it's on my birthday. I might watch it just because I'm like, screw it. The only other Avengers movie I've seen was Endgame and Infinity War. I saw those ones in the theater. And The Force Awakens, when that came out, that was also on my birthday. So that was a good treat there. Haven't seen it since, given what Disney's done to the franchise. And Avengers, Marvel, I'm kind of loose on that as well. Given this movie and the cast, the characters that they showed off, I'm guessing this is going to be more like this is going to be Marvel's way of trying to reboot the franchise. Probably get Doctor Doom to kill all the cast. But I am interested in seeing that Supergirl movie, because I did see that Superman movie first. So when the Supergirl movie comes out, I want to go see that one. But after that, I'll see what comes out, because I'm not really that much of a movie guy either. Like, I saw the first Avatar movie, and that was well for its time. But then after that, I stopped because, all right, they're making like how many of these now? And they're taking how long for these things to come out? I'm like, nope, thank you. I would say after Doomsday and the Supergirl movie, the only thing that I'm excited for to watch is the Night of the Seven Kingdoms show coming out in January. Given from that trailer, it's going to be a very well done adaptation from what I've seen from the trailer. And I'm interested to see what kind of stuff they might add and what stuff they might take liberty on in their adaptation. Because I have the source material, and the source material would probably be some of the best stuff George Martin has written. So I can tell from the dialogue, it's going to be a very great adaptation of the stories. But my only concern, because they did greenlit the second novella, and I'm not sure if they have greenlit the third one. But after that's done, we have no more. There's no more written material after the third novella. So I'm hoping George makes some more Dunk and Egg, because I would read it and watch the show after that. My only concern, because after Game of Thrones is bad ending, some of the fans were sour, me included, because I got into that late. I didn't get into that when it was started. I binged it with my mom around, I think it was season 5 or 6. And that's when I started watching it. And after that was done, I went and read the books afterwards. And I said, oh my gosh, this book stuff is fantastic. And now I'm like every other fan, waiting for breadcrumbs. No, it's not out yet. It's coming out in next month. But if you want a good show to watch that's like Game of Thrones, I would recommend the Spartacus show on Netflix. Let me see. Here we go. Spartacus. That's a good show too on Netflix. Because it's on Netflix now, and I am currently rewatching it. And I've seen yep, that was a very good show. I watched that thing on Netflix. I benched it. Because I did like the politics. I like I would say, all the seasons. Blood and Sand, the first season is probably the best of the entire show. That's my favorite of the franchise. That and actually, yeah, just that. Blood and Sand. And War at the Dam would be a close second, but Blood and Sand first season was fantastic. That's a solid 10 out of 10. And I didn't even know that the actor who played Spartacus passed away in between the prequel show and season 2. So when it came back, I went back and watched it. I'm like, oh, I didn't know I didn't know they really changed actors until I found out later, after I watched the finale of War of the Damned, that I learned that he passed away from cancer. I'm like, oh, that's a sad one. After that finale, I was crying. I was rooting for. Even though I knew it was a historical show. I knew Spartacus had to die, but I was still rooting for him. Like, yes, kill Crassus. He had him. He was going for the kill, and his Romans took him out from the back of spears. I'm like, fuck. But my mom could tell me I was crying. I had tears in my eyes when Spartacus died. I'm like, ugh. That's how emotional I got when I watched it. But I do know that the actor, there is a sideshow they made called The House of Asher, which one of the characters from the main show, they gave him his own spin-off show. Now, from what I've seen, I might give it a watch. I might not. But out of all, in my opinion, it was not a good idea to do this. At least if this character, because he died in the show. Instead, I would have done like a spin-off of one of the other characters, or maybe even a continuation of the show. Because from how the end of the last season ended, you had Pompey, Crassus, and Caesar, and showing you the groundwork or the hints of the groundwork of the little group together that they did in history. And I did like this show's depiction of Crassus. Out of all the villains in Spartacus, I would say he was the strongest one. Even though he was built up in each of in the first season, and his name and Crassus' name always kept getting mentioned occasionally. So when he finally showed up as the main antagonist in War of the Damned, I was surprised of how he was depicted. One, he fought in the same gladiator style that Spartacus and another champion gladiator uses, the dual wielding two swords. and he was practicing against a former champion slave, and he showed him respect. He told him, all right, for my final test, you're going to fight me for real, like I'm a guy in the arena. But then the guy said, wait a minute, hold up. If I do that, I'm going to die. So he told him, okay, if my son here is witness, if you are able to beat me, you can go free and take the money in exchange if you win. So, all right, bet. And they had a good fight. But Crassus was able to use his teachings to his advantage, and he beat him. And he honored the agreement where he used that same money instead of to honor him and make him a statue. So then that's how he was able to learn how the gladiator champions caliber fought, so they could learn their ways, because Spartacus knows how the Romans work, because in history he was part of the auxiliary force. So everybody used that tactics or use that experience to learn how the Roman legions do their maneuvers and tactics. And that's probably one of the main reasons why he was able to beat so many commanders that fought against him. Okay, let me see here. Spartacus. Where's the video? Another show I would recommend The Vikings. The Vikings TV show. I think so. But I call it AM. I never really figured out what AMB actually meant. It might mean that. I'm not really sure. I'm trying to find it. Where is it? Unless it's no longer on YouTube. Let me see here. Is it on YouTube? Oh, here we go. This is one of my favorite.
If this is my fate, if this is the path the gods have truly set me upon, then they will not see me fall.
The gods would set you on the proper path. All you have to do is close your eyes and place yourself in their hands.
And if you are wrong, then I will give your city a great spectacle of blood. Blood and honor. It speaks to the man.
I wonder if that's a thing. Because in the show, they always did that arm clasp thing. I wonder if that was a historical thing in history.
It speaks to the man.
Do you not see it in his eyes? This is a man who dreams of blood and glory.
Blood there, Ambrosia.
The arena, their mountaintop.
Gladiators.
We are gladiators. We are slaves.
Gladiators are far from common slaves.
The burden of choice and conscience equally removed.
There's no choice.
We are truly free when we fight.
There's always a choice.
Spartacus is a man to be held as an example. The slave ignites the arena.
A good footage of
the flame should set him
the
free.
entire show.
He is a champion.
Gannicus has proven himself to the city of Capua.
As we once did.
Let him be rewarded with freedom.
Freedom is not a stick of wood. To be presented as bone to obedient dog, it is a thing all men deserve.
This through time, you followed your heart in matters of blood. What does it tell you?
That we are different men now.
I will not die a faceless slave.
Yeah, that is true. Similarly, how we don't know if there's an actual Ragnar Lothbrok, but we do know that there are people claiming that they were the sons of Ragnar, like Bjorn Ironside, Ironvard the Boneless, Sigurd Stink in the Eye, Halfdan Iverson. And what we have are people like, because the old-fashioned way, history is written by the victors. That's why some of the stuff that I have, like books on like Celtic mythology or an old mythology that's not well known. I wish we had some more physical documentation on this type of stuff. Like the Vikings, like what kind of stuff did the Vikings, how did they worship the gods? Like what kind of practice did they do? Like we only have like small accounts of what they did because all of their traditions and stuff were more orally passed down. And all the stuff that we have now, like the Prose Edda and the Poetic Edda, is stuff that was done way far after the Viking Age ended and was more Christian based than Viking based. But it's the only stuff that we have that was able to be passed down. So unless we have some more stuff, then that's about as good as we're going to get.
Slave forgotten by history. Stand with me, and we shall rise together.
We have shown them that a trembling hand can become a fist.
One day, all the Republic will marvel at the sight of us.
You will become the greatest Lannister in the Republic.
Under such a title, we will climb beyond our station, continue on this path, beyond Capua.
And we will have the world.
Perhaps in the very steps of the Senate itself.
Even if life fades, my hand shall yet be felt. Every beam, every stone in this fucking house bears the mark of Asher. Asher! Fucking Victor!
Oh, yeah, but this is the guy who has his own spin-off show called The House of Asher. And from what I've seen, I might give it a watch. Because he was more like, in the show, I liked his character. He was more like a side antagonist. A guy from the shadows. In Blood and Sand. He's more like a turncoat, like a Theon Greyjoy. He was like a turncoat. Where he was on the good side. He was a gladiator. But then he went back and fought, sided with the Romans. And joined them. So out of all the characters, I would say he was one of my favorites. I would say it was like a top 5 or top 5. It had to be Spartacus, Animaeus, Batiatus, and Asher. Given the depth of the characters that they all had in the show. At least in season 1, I enjoyed their characters.
I have given my life to this Ludus.
What is beneath your feet?
No, they stole it from you.
Yeah, so this is Animeus. He's the guy who's basically his job in the show. He's a doctore. So basically, he's the guy. He's like a retired gladiator who trains new recruits. Who trains new recruits that come to the Ludus. And one of the guys that they fight in Blood and Sand, Spartacus and Crixus, is the guy that he once fought when he was fighting the Sands. So his job is to basically get them to in shape so they can fight him. The guy that he couldn't beat, because everybody else that he fought, he died. But Animeus was the only one whoever survived whoever lasted the longest fighting against him.
Sacred ground, Doctor. Watered with tears of blood.
From all of us.
Your tears. Your blood.
I would put unfortunate past behind us.
We are both monsters, guys. Let us be so together.
And seize glorious future.
And seize the fucking heavens.
This is the reason you provoked the Romans?
Fight for her.
The memory of your woman?
Every life you took, the blood you shed,
Oh,
she will see it from the afterlife.
greatest cause of all.
Then I shall fill her eyes.
Whatever happens to my people, it happens because we choose, friend. We decide our fates, not you, not the Romans.
Sound horn!
Not even the gods.
Not the gods themselves.
I have done this thing because it is just.
Okay, because some of this stuff, I am thinking, given I want to take some influences. There's my eastern region of my world that I'm crafting. It has some elements of the Roman Empire. Well, at least in the eastern area, because the eastern area is more, I would say that's more Egyptian inspired. Given how it used to be one, it's kind of like Egypt, where it was once ruled by a single nation, it was a single leader, but then that leader and nation gets split in a civil war, kind of similar to Spartacus's slave rebellion, where that after that rebellion, the nation gets split into 5 separate city-states, and they each have its own culture and foundation from the old nation that once ruled everything. But the one thing that is kept is the slave trade. So each city-state, there's one city-state that is the main one, the main hub, and from there, people get sold. They would have a specific color of chain or brand, and depending on what color the collar is or the chain, they would get sent to that specific city state. Where one of them is more like Spartacus's, like Blood and Sand, like a pit fighting area, and that's the place where my character's father is from. He was born and raised in that area. So kind of similar to how Galacticus. Let me see if I could find it. Let's see if I can find it. Show me. I skip it. There we go. So kind of like how Galactus has this wooden stick, is something that I would do. It's something that as a scene that I kind of did in my first chapter that I'm doing, where I kind of all right. He's a former pit fighter champion, and he has that piece of stick that shows off more. That shows his past victories in the sands of the arena. So I do want to do a story where I go back to that eastern region, because I did do that, but I didn't really explore it that much. It was the focus was mainly in one city, the main city hub of the east. So I actually saved the city where he's from. I saved that. I did a story, something called, I call it the Tales of Yggdra, where it's kind of side stories or story idea concepts that I have that I didn't explore in my main 5 stories that I wrote, in the main drafts that I probably mentioned, or I said, all right, I'm going to use this for a future storyline. So one of them I did was I had something similar to Blood and Sand, where I had a character or a new character from the city that his father's from, and I showed her as the main focus to show off the culture and the fighting pits of that city. But it was mainly in one. It was still in the first draft phase, so I might go back and redo some of those stories, because some of them are like off the dome. Like I just used the blueprints of the drafts for each of those stories and just wrote them like that. But that's more for later. Right now, I'm going to focus on getting this first story done. So right now, I went through it, saw some stuff I might add, some stuff I took out. So right now, I'm polishing the first chapter. So hopefully I can get that finished tonight or tomorrow and then send it out to the editor guy. Or I can send it to you, Mr. Lors, and you could show me what kind of stuff you might like. Give me some of your feedback on it. Tell me what stuff I might have to improve on, or stuff you might say that's okay with. Okay, where was it? I was right here.
The blood you shed, she will see it from the afterlife. Greatest cause of all.
Then I shall fill her eyes.
Whatever happens to my people, it happens because we choose, friend. We decide our fates, not you, not the Romans.
Sound horn!
Not even the gods.
Not the gods themselves.
I have done this thing because it is just. Blood demands blood. We have lived and lost at the whims of our masters for too long. I would not have it.
Your lives are your own.
I am a free man.
Forge your own path. Or join with us. Join me. Together, we shall see Rome tremble!
He was so inspirational. If I was in this time period, I'm like, yes, Spartacus, I'm gonna join you. I don't care if I die or I go back in slavery. I'd rather fight as a free man than on my knees and taking the whip. Let's go down fighting. Or I'm Crixus with another guy. I would say he was the second protagonist in the show, given he behind Spartacus, he got the most screen time between the entire show. So I would say he's on my list too. I had to say Spartacus, Crixus would be my number 2, and Emmaus, the black guy, he'll be my number 3. Gladicus could be my number 4, and Bacchiatus could be my number 5, because he was a good in the show as well.
Spartacus.
Spartacus. That's not what she called me. That is not what she called me. That is not my name. That is not my name.
That is not my name.
It is now.
Oh yeah, because that was the thing. We never really, given Rome and stuff, they kind of gave him a name. Spartacus isn't really his actual name. We don't really know what quote unquote Spartacus's true name was. So that's like, yeah, let's give him Spartacus, because that reminds him that there was a Trajan king called Spartacus. So maybe they gave him that name instead. We never really knew what his actual name was.
I shall finally hear it again. Given voice, my loving wife, in greeting long before.
We shall greet you in the afterlife, my brother.
One day, Rome shall fade and crumble, yet you shall always be remembered.
Part ways.
In the hearts of all who yearn for freedom.
And live free.
There is no greater victory than to fall from this world a free man.
Okay, what's next? Oh, I don't know if you've seen this. Transformers Prime. This was probably one of my favorite adaptations of the Transformers show. I remember watching this when it was on TV.
Small.
I was excited
At
for every
GoDaddy,
episode.
we help you take that first step.
Do you recall when I mentioned that
I got it. I got the season 2 box set. That's how hyped I was when I saw it on the shelf. I'm like, oh, I'm buying this, and I watched that thing constantly until the disc it couldn't handle it. I could throw it away. It couldn't handle the power anymore. But I would say Transformers Prime. This one's more like an animated show. I'm not really familiar with the lore that much, but I would say Transformers Prime is probably my favorite adaptation of the Transformers show so far. It had my favorite design of Megatron. I know that much.
that Optimus wasn't always a Prime? Well, he wasn't always Optimus either. He was once a clerk in the Iacon Hall of Records.
Oh, this one's more like
named
a
Orion
flashback.
Pax. But as he learned more about Cybertron's past, he grew increasingly concerned about the present corruption in high places and inequality among the masses. Orion became inspired by the words and ideas of a gladiator, one who had named himself after one of the 13 original primes, Megatronus.
Like, look at that design. He has the sword. He has the gladiatorial shield. Like this version of Megatron, or at least this design, I like this design of Megatron the best out of the ones I've seen previously.
Megatronus vowed to challenge Cybertron's leadership and demand that all Cybertronians be treated as equals. This gladiator turned revolutionary rapidly gathered a loyal following, Soundwave chief among them. Orion began corresponding with Megatronus, who came to be something of a mentor to him. As Megatronus left the gladiatorial arena for the political, he saw fit to shorten his name. Before long, Megatron appeared before the High Council to propose his vision for a just society. And it was here that he began to reveal his true colors, proclaiming the need to overthrow the old guard with force, and arrogantly demanding to be named the next prime. But Orion did not believe in violence as a means of achieving justice. The sparks and...
Yep. Now, from what I can tell, this is one of the reasons why the council, from what the show said, this is one of the reasons why the council chose Orion to be. They thought he was worthy to be the next prime instead of Megatronus.
And minds of the council were moved by Orion's words. Here, for the first time since Cybertron's golden age, stood someone worthy of being a prime. But that honor could only truly be achieved by earning the legendary matrix of leadership. His ambitions thwarted, Megatron spitefully severed all ties with Orion and the council, and came to wage war on all who opposed him through his growing army of followers, which he named Decepticons.
I'm going to find this matrix myself.
He vowed to claim the matrix for himself, wherever it might lie. In time, warfare consumed Cybertron, poisoning the planet to its core. Orion journeyed there, hoping to reverse the ill effects, and found himself before the very spark of our life-giver, Primus himself. The ailing Primus sensed the innate nobility within Orion and bestowed the matrix upon him. It was thus that a surprised and humbled Orion Pax came to be Optimus, the last of the primes.
Okay, that was a good one there. How would you rate that flashback video? I would have to give that one a solid 7 out of 5. I mean, Megatron had some of the best, even though it was short, he had some of the best fight scenes in the show. Like this one here is one of my favorite fight scenes where he fought against in Cybertron.
In a college setting, this is your first impression, your first time. You want to put your best foot forward. I'm Lauren Taylor. I'm a student.
You don't waste time.
Your stay of execution has come to an end.
I will leave you two to get acquainted.
Bow before Megatron.
Now, the reason why he's fighting the Insecticon is because the Spider Girl there, Arachnid, she's more like an assassin type of Decepticon. And she was calling Megatron out because he tried to kill her the first time with a bunch of other Decepticons, and they failed. So she said, "All right, come to this location, and you try and kill me." And Megatron, he's a proud warrior, so he said, "All right, I'm coming. I'm going to kill you myself because my lackeys can't do it. I'll do it personally."
Your leader.
Oh, and the Insecticon, she's able to get this Insecticon under her control in a way. So it kind of follows her commands.
I said bow.
Yeah, see that? It's supposed to be a fair one-on-one fight, and she's there. Oh, let me web his cannon blaster real quick. Even with one hand, he could smack that thing across the field. Now, here's one of my best quotes from this fight.
You and your beast would do well to remember.
I hold my skills in the pits of chaos.
In the hope that all his enemies would destroy each other on his behalf. So many surprises today.
Oh, there comes the finishing move. Here comes my second favorite quote from the show that Megatron says.
Let that be a warning to anyone who dares cross the gladiator of chaos. Be they
Decepticon. No!
The tech legend who's been right about everything from LinkedIn to AI just got voice killed. And this is what he posted. If you use
No, I gotta hear it.
Let that be a warning to anyone who dares cross the gladiator of chaos. Be they
Decepticon. No! Oh, why did it show the whole quote? I know it's here. There we go. I gotta find it. Show me the full thing. No, it skipped it. I went too far ahead. Nope, not there. Show me. Show me. Fine. Fuck it. I'll show this again. Okay. Sisters have it here.
Let that be a warning to anyone who dares cross that gladiator of chaos. Be they
Decepticon. Or Autobot. Now, that was a great fight there. Now, a little bit of inconsistency because in this is the first time in the show they showed a Decepticon, and just to give you a kind of a scale, given Optimus and Megatron are about the strongest guys in the show because they're the only two that can go toe to toe with each other. And here, Megatron fought a Decepticon by himself. You know, Arachnid helped. Megatron still fought it one-on-one, but later on in the show, Optimus is able to like take out a bunch by himself. I'm like, all right, this is disrespectful. You can't have Megatron be the punching bag and then have Optimus like, all right, I could take several of these things on by myself. Like, that was so disrespectful. I enjoyed that part one bit. I'm like, wait a minute. How come Megatron, he was able to take on one and beat one and got wounded just to beat it, but Optimus could take it out no problem. Let me see here. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. Nah. Let me see if I can find it. I know it's here. It's the wrong way I worded it differently. Is it here? Nope. I think it's just the Vegeta team. Yeah, here we go. Where is it? Yeah, I like this guy's stuff. They can remix certain stuff.
Child.
Oh yeah, I remember when that was a good dub. Now the Super was the first time I actually watched Dragon Dragon Ball show in sub before. So in one they revealed that they were going to do the dub for Super. I'm like, all right, how are they going to do this? And I was amazed at how they brought back the Kaioken, but also the way how his voice changed when he did the Kaioken in this scene was very nice.
And this is to go even further beyond. Times 10!
Now for this one, this is more like he takes the scene, but he kind of does a redub of it. So some of the stuff was there, but he kind of took some lines and changed them around. Like, here's another one that I like that he did. Like the Beerus slap.
It turns out only people with childhood trauma can figure this out. The reason is because people with childhood trauma are used to being constantly alert. They pay attention to every detail. They overanalyze.
I'll take some pride in the fact that it took Beerus the Destroyer to kill me.
I don't care for how many years you and my husband have known each other. Your selfish pudding cup fight has ruined my 38th birthday party!
Now for this stuff, I am considering doing some of the super stuff. Even though it might not be as... It's going to be a very different way of how I write it and how the arcs are done, given how it's an alternate timeline. Given my version is more like an alternate timeline where Goku never landed on Earth, and it's more of the human fighters are taking center stage. So kind of think of like the Gohan high school arc in the Buu Saga was more fleshed out than how it usually was shown in the canon. But for that one, my idea is basically taking that and just expanding it to where it's more longer for a proper arc with other characters like from One Punch Man that I think would fit well into that same that can fit well into the DBC universe, but also another swap out. So one of the things, Goku never land on Earth. That's one of the changes. Another change that's going to occur is basically the swap out. Or basically, I'm just swapping Beerus and Whis. I'm swapping them with Champa and Vados. So basically, I'm just taking those two and swapping them around. So Champa is the Universe 7's Destroyer God, and Vados is the Angel, and vice versa. So that's basically one of the things that's going to occur there. And it's going to also be inspired. This timeline that I'm doing is basically inspired by videos I saw that was like, what if Goku never landed on Earth? So mainly all this stuff happened, except in this case, the King Piccolo arc was much longer, and that took like most of the entire Saiyan. That took basically it took all the Z arcs was basically scrubbed out, and it's basically the Saiyan and the Android and Cell arcs are basically just an entire war. There's the Dr. Zero's androids. We have Cell versus King Piccolo, Demon King Piccolo and his army. So all the way up until Babidi came out, and he took over King Piccolo, and then Buu got revived, and the Earth got destroyed. So it's kind of similar to that. But in this case, it's not going to be a regular Buu. Mine is mainly going to, it's like some of the antagonists are going to be like Vegeta's mom. We don't know what she looks like, or if she didn't survive the explosion. But like it's some of the antagonists are going to be like some of the quote unquote parents of the villains. So like Frieza's quote unquote mother, which I'm going to call Queen Ice, is going to be the villain in the Namek Saga, or after the Namek Saga. And for the Majin Buu one, because some of the stuff isn't going to occur, like the android stuff, that stuff's going to occur, but in this case, the androids are good, and they're going to help fight Demon King Piccolo. So the androids aren't really going to be a factor, because they're the good in this timeline. You have Cell. So that android stuff isn't really going to be an arc, really. That's going to be more like a tournament, or I might have that be the Buu Saga area in place of have the Buu Saga happen earlier, with Buu not being like with Buu taking more like a female Majin type of form that I've seen images of, like a female Majin Buu. But overall, I think one of the things I'm going to do is kind of how they showed up in the canon. Buu's going to destroy the planet. But in this case, the Supreme Kai is going to be on there. So in that case, Champa is going to die because the Supreme Kai connection, God Link, is going to still be a factor. So he's going to die. And Vados is going to go to the last location that the Supreme Kai was at. And that would be the destroyed Earth, where my main character is going to be. And that's going to basically be like set up for like the next. That's going to be set up for like the Dragon Ball Super's version of events, even though stuff might be different. And they've already gotten an art commission for what would like a Kai, like a female Kai would look like. And I can use that as setup, because I'm going to take a break on that and do another story that I'm thinking of, where this one is more inspired by another video I saw where it was like, what if actually I can find it right now and give you a little taste of what this one might be about. I think I've shown it before, where basically, what if the Norse gods were in Dragon Ball?
In oldest part of space. Shockwaves that had once threatened to destroy the universe itself were now being focused only on the two fighters battling on Beerus's planet. The Super Saiyan God and the God of Destruction were having their long-awaited rematch. Elder and Supreme Kai watched the battle through their crystal ball, dreading the thought of the pair going too far like last time. Shin having a look of melancholy on his face as he watched the two battle, feeling his lack of power weighing on his mind. Whis stood on the sidelines, carefully watching every movement his two students made, but he knew that this fight was soon about to reach its end. Goku was pushing his mastered blue form even further than he had against Jiren, attacking Beerus with every bit of speed he could muster, every bit of power in his body. The Divine Kaioken allowed him to catch Beerus off guard a few times, but the wall between them was still too high, and once Beerus stopped playing with the Saiyan, it was all over. The Saiyan desperately poured all his power into one gigantic Kamehameha, but Beerus simply sighed in disappointment before sliding across the beam with a faultless grace, launching a devastating kick to the Saiyan's temple. Goku was sent hurtling to the ground, the mighty aura of his blue form fading, his making a snide remark at Goku, but we across the planet. After from Goku, the three finally dug into their cup ramen. On Earth, however, similar shockwaves to Goku and Beerus' fight echoed across the planet.
And we know who that is.
More menacing sound. The sound of thunder. The shockwaves reached a fever pitch as a gigantic man arrived in the outskirts of Satan City in a rainbow-colored beam of light. The stranger's wild red hair blew in the wind as he began to move towards the city, his every step causing a strike of lightning in the sky. Inside the city, another kind of chaos was raining down, and in...
So that's that. Let me sign another section of the video. So this is basically what this artist commissioned to what Thor would look like in Dragon Ball style. I kind of like how he looks. He has a nice Nordic Viking look. And they gave them red hair, as akin to how he looks in the depictions of mythology.
Gohan with an earnest glee. He was amazed that Earthlings had gotten so strong at the time he'd been gone, and asked the boy for his real name. The exhausted Saiyan was too shocked at his attacks seemingly having no effect to respond at first, but explained that his name was Son Gohan. Thor declared that Son Gohan the Great shall have songs sung of his warrior spirit for eons to come, as he began to reach for the hammer that was hanging from his belt. Sparks were crackling in the air, the weight of the power being emitted from Thor just from the act of reaching for his hammer was causing lightning to blanket the sky in even greater intensity. Thor's eyes began to be engulfed with crackling power as his true might began to rise, with Gohan preparing himself to still stand and fight, despite knowing he had no chance. Until Vidal shot up from the ground, floating between the two, surprising Thor and Gohan as she approached the god. She declared that this had gone on long enough. There had been no
Okay. There's a video here. Is it here? There we go.
That in the infancy of the universe, there was the world of Yggdra, a lush, vibrant world. The people of Yggdra...
Now I could kind of see where I got the name from, huh? I said, all right, Yggdra. That seems like a good name for a world, fantasy world planet. Has some Nordic roots on it. And given my Croatian myth, I kind of took that inspiration from the Norse Croatian myth as well, with a few changes. But overall, it is inspired by the Norse mythology's version of the Croatian myth. Minus the world tree. But this video is where I got the name Yggdra from for my fantasy world. Given I was looking for names, like, all right, what's a good name I could call this world? And I saw the captions of this video and said, "Oh, Yggdra. That seemed like a fun name to give a planet."
Yggdra were fierce lot, but also a cultured one. One such Yggdra was Odin, a strong, strapping lad, and admittedly, a bit of a dork. He loved knowledge, he thirsted for it, and through the technological magic of Yggdra, Odin traversed the young universe, absorbing knowledge everywhere he went. Over the course of his journey, Odin learned of the existence of the gods. Through cunning and trickery, Odin worked his way up from the Kaio to the Kaioshin, all the way to planet Kaishin, the homeworld of all gods. On planet Kaishin, Odin was able to gaze down upon all the other universes and realized his quest for knowledge is one that will take considerable time, more time than he in his short mortal life would be able to accomplish. He stayed on planet Kaishin for many days, and as a result,
Now, for planet Kaishin, I believe that is the name. That is the name of the homeworld where the Supreme Kais, the fruit with a tree where that fruit comes from, that birthed the regular normal Kais and the Supreme Kais. From what I remember of the lore, normal fruits that come from this tree are what produce Kais like King Kai and all the other regular normal Kais in the filler. Well, the golden fruits from this tree are the ones where the Supreme Kai and the ones from the filler episode are from.
Odin became incredibly hungry. He noticed an enormous fruit hanging from the kaiju tree. Though he attempted to climb the enormous tree, one of the fruit fell from it, but this was no ordinary fruit. It was a golden fruit, the fruit of a Kaioshin. Odin watched as a Kaioshin emerged from the fruit, Odin scribbling the details in his notebook, as he always did. But soon, hunger would overtake his judgment, and he devoured the meat of the golden fruit. It sated his hunger, but an unexpected side effect had occurred. He had been given the power of a god by eating the godly fruit. After becoming a god, Odin took the seeds of the kaiju fruit to his universe, planting it in the soil of Yggdra, and creating an incomprehensibly large tree. That roots expanded throughout space, wrapping and connecting the 9 worlds of his solar system. The tree's divine nature sealed it off from the rest of the 12 universes in its own small pocket universe, a tiny blip the size of a solar system that would go unnoticed by all. However, all the worlds being connected by a godly tree caused unforeseen side effects, causing the inhabitants of those worlds to become grotesquely strong. Odin even managed to reach the Omni King and earn his favor by telling him the funniest jokes, the scariest stories, and the cleverest puns. And as such, Lord Zeno paid no attention to the goings-on in Odin's domain, allowing it to...
Yeah, that's true. But, Akira Toriyama wasn't always the brightest guy when it came to remembering stuff about his own world. Like, one of the characters that he forgot about Launch. Like, Launch is one of the main trios. She was part of the group in the original Dragon Ball. And then in Z, she just got forgotten. Until later on in the Boo saga, we see, oh, she's alive. She's one of the characters raising their hands to give Goku energy for the Kid Buu Spirit Bomb. There was a lady that came and said, she raised her hand, like, oh, that's Launch. Like, we never knew what happened to her until later on when he did an interview, like, oh, what happened to the characters that after the Boo saga, we finally learned what happened to her.
to be sealed off from the rest of what was happening, with only the people of Yggdra itself able to enter other universes through the Bifrost, a magic similar to Whis' staff. Everyone was a...
So this is some good, interesting lore building. So basically, what I'm going to do, so I have my 2 stories. You have the DBZ one that I'm going to do first. And then after that, I'm going to do like a Norse-inspired one, with the Yggdrasil world being the DBZ universe's version of the Norse mythology. Or in this case, I'm going to have 2 characters. For the DBZ one, the main guy there is going to be called I'm debating. Is either going to be called Victor or Daniel. One of those 2. Well, the one for the Norse-inspired story, that one is going to be more either Dale or Sigurd. It's going to be one of those 2. So for that one, it's going to kind of be basically taking like the Norse myths and kind of making like a storyline, because the Norse myths, they don't really have a big gap. We have the stories, and we know what kind of happens. We know the Grecian myth happens, and we have all the other Norse stories that happen in between, and then that middle chunk there, and then at the end is Ragnarok. So for my process, it's gonna be he's gonna be like a demigod, like the son of Thor, and maybe a giant, because I wanted to have some strength to him. But it's gonna be kind of have bits and pieces. It's gonna be a mix of like God of War 2018 and Ragnarok, mixed in with the Twilight of the Gods show from Netflix. Kind of world building from there. But overall, the main thing, Ragnarok is going to occur, and some stuff is going to be different because we don't know which gods. We know which gods survived, but some of the gods, like Freya, like all the goddesses and stuff, we don't know if they never confirmed any written works about them. So I'm going to assume that they also survived Ragnarok, but they just didn't. They fought in Ragnarok, but didn't die. But my goal there is for, and we didn't know if we know Thor's son survived, so we don't really know if I'm gonna swap them. Instead of Magnus and Modi and Magni and Modi being the ones who get Thor's hammer, I'm kind of inspired by how God of War did it, and have Druid be the one who becomes the new goddess of thunder. And in this case, like some of the characters, like, all right, I'm not gonna bring them back because they died, because I want death to have some meaning to it. So it was the gods that died in Ragnarok, and the ones that they say that came back, like Balder. Some of them are gonna stay dead. Well, Sigurd in this case, or the Sigurd / Dale in this case, are going to be the new Allfather. They're kind of like it in Marvel. Thor becomes the new king of Asgard. Well, Sigurd is going to be the new king of Asgard here, with either Freya being like an advisor, and maybe someone else being the new queen of Asgard. But just so I could give them like a power gap, because I want them to be on equal footing. So kind of like how in this show, in this What If, where Thor comes to Asgard, comes to Midgard, I want to have a kind of a similar take here. Or let me see if I can find it. I think it's in this video too. Where they get brought into Asgard for fighting Thor. Where is it? Okay, here we go. So this guy right here, this is their artist's depiction of what Loki would look like.
May I only know so much about the Xenos' recent tournament of power.
See
I
here.
wish to rectify that.
Loki smiled in victory. Relieved,
where
Odin
is
seemed to want to continue the
it?
fun. Tyr sighed before to Odin, who had fallen asleep. Beerus put his hand to his face, deciding that he really was overthinking all of this.
Oh, I think I
Shin had
skipped
asked
it.
to be relieved.
I
An
skipped
invitation
it.
from Freya, who was interested in meeting the Supreme Kai to explore the scrolls of Asgard, were far more interesting to him.
Yeah, so this is Thor. So this is what the artist's depiction of what an old Odin would look like. And later on, let me find it.
Most natural states, acting on pure emotion and rage, and as a result, his powers began to skyrocket far beyond what Goku could comfortably handle. Still, the Super Saiyan God refused to be intimidated, and cracked the power pole against the side of Thor's temple, to the center of his stomach, and then, using his legs, swept Thor's footing, before catching the falling Thor with an uppercut to the chin. Despite the combination landing effectively, Thor seemingly didn't feel any pain, as
Thor's
his
like
rage
a
was
warrior
overpowering
rage.
any other emotion he might have. Thor roared in fury and grabbed Goku by the hair, slamming him into the cliff face and throwing the battered Saiyan up, only to smash him into the ground. With a downward swing of Mjolnir, Goku was sent into a crater so deep no one could see the bottom, while the wild Thor let out a warrior cry of victory. Odin clapped.
I think this is one here. Let me see. Oh, there we go. And this is the artist's depiction of what is this? Freya? Yeah. Freya, I think. No, wait, not that one. I think I skipped it. No, I didn't skip it. So this one here. This is a little bit of backstory about how Beerus was back in his youth.
No lie. The mead of poetry was said to reside on a planet of giants. Its taste was so divine, just a few drops could make a buffoon into a scholar. A whole glassful could give an insight into the rhythm and rhyme of the universe itself.
So kind of how the backstory here, since this is Beerus when he's more younger and much as a young destroyer god, from what the video suggests, Beerus liked food, but in this case, back then, he liked eating food that had some myth behind it. So in this case, he wants to drink from the mead of poetry from Norse mythology. Yeah, I know it's a long video. I'm trying to find the right spot. It's somewhere. Here we go. Did I get it right? So this is the artist's depiction of what like the older version is more like a disguise of what he looked like. So this one
Regaining the
is what he looks like in his youth.
image of his youth, as if he...
It's like a younger Odin, like prime Odin. You have him with his Gumnir spear. You have his one eye. So basically, they never really explain, but I'm guessing here that Yggdra has all the Norse mythology inspired stories happened in the world. So Odin is kind of powerful that way, but one of the reasons why he's also powerful is because he's able to go to the other universes and learn the techniques from those other universes into his arsenal, because he's also a god of knowledge. So that's one of the reasons why he would do that.
And crushed
There's an
by the
example right here.
concentrated forces of Odin's attack.
A modified attack from the second universe. And this.
Odin appeared behind Beerus, who tried to respond with a spinning kick aimed at the Allfather, only to be met with a punch to the face, not being able to react at all to the blow.
A technique.
So basically, he was able to he went to each universe to learn techniques from the other universes. But one of the things that I like here, like this is one of the best quotes from the show, well, from this video, that I could see a god telling an Aesir god telling the universe destroyer.
Stolen move.
How many years have you lived with the gift of immortality? And how many of them did you waste sleeping? I play the fool, but I do not squander a second of my eternal life. What exactly have you accomplished, Lord Beerus? Pissing you off, for one thing.
Eventually.
Okay, let me find it here. I know it's here. Where is it? Where is it? He did some more art for some other gods. I gotta find it. Where is it? There we go. Did I got it here? Is the right one? Oh, there we go. So this is the artist's version of what Tyr would look like, the god of war and law. I like how they depicted how he has his one arm, like in the myths. But in this case, he was able to use that one arm to kind of control Fenris in this continuity. And it kind of gives me an idea to how I want to depict my god of war, with him having one arm as well. And another god having, like him and another god fighting, and they both take damage, like permanent damage, where he loses his shield arm, and she, the goddess of magic, loses her eye, where she is more inspired by Odin, so she would have her eye taken out in the fight, while he loses his arm. So she would be one eye and he would be one arm. Like that could be one of their nicknames. So I'm trying to think if I want them to lose their eye and hand permanently. But I might, given that my gods are more inspired by the Norse pantheon. So that is one of the reasons why I want them to have one of these myths. Like it could be a in-universe myth that I write in my lore book. I just don't have it to be permanent. So it's kind of up in the air if I want that to happen or not. So that's one more god there. And you had Loki and Odin and Thor. And the last one, they did one more. It was at the end of the video.
'Tis I, fair maiden. How can I be of assistance?
Take me to the Valkyries.
Thor had taken the trio to where the Valkyries were posted, or rather, where the last Valkyrie stood, at the gates to Valhalla. She was old and frail, yet despite looking like she could die at any moment, her posture remained steadfast. She stood at her post, as if it were her life's purpose. Of course, it was. On the trip to meet her, Vidal had asked Thor about...
Oh yeah, in this case, in this video, they explained the Valkyries are more... Because Freya was a human in this case. And the Valkyries are more like sparks of Freya's soul that Odin was able to construct to make the Valkyries. But each time, because she's a human, they all have a certain amount, they all have a lifespan. So they all die in the end. Because they're not immortal. And she's mortal. And she's the last, this Valkyrie here is the last one who has her essence. The last Sentinel.
About all the details, and feeling guilty after finding out his father had interfered in Thor's battle with Goku, the God of Thunder was happy to answer her questions. Long ago, Odin, after eating the divine fruit, built himself a people. They were mortals that he helped achieve godhood, and the wisest of all was Freya. She was the All-Mother, the most powerful.
And this is their final design of what Freya looks like in the that the artist made. I would say my favorite ones would probably be like the young Odin, Thor, and Freya are my favorite designs that they've done.
Powerful wielder of magic in the 9 worlds, and the only one Odin couldn't outsmart. Yet despite being incredibly long-lived, Freya was not a true immortal, and so, no matter how desperately Odin protested, she did not wish for eternal life. Death was not something she feared, and so, she eventually died peacefully, and all of Asgard wept that day. Yet for Odin, his missing eye did not weep. It was planning. From that day on, the All-Father searched desperately for a way to bring his beloved back. Spells, technology, and even using the Dragon Balls of every kind. Yet, for reasons that were unknown to him, it seemed her magic was stronger than each and every method he tried, sealing her soul and otherworld beyond his reach. Odin could not reunite with his wife, who wished to remain in the afterlife. This made the old god very protective of what he still had. And so, he used his knowledge to create his masterpiece. Valhalla, a trap that would grab any souls that attempted to leave Asgard. A perfect spell to prevent death or erasure of any sort, keeping them in a waiting room until Odin needed to summon them again. He would never surrender the souls of his creations to the otherworld again. The Valkyries had been created out of the energy he did manage to recover from Freya, forming them out of fragments of the memory of her power, and ensuring they would capture any warriors he collected that died in his universe.
Now for me, I have Valkyrie-like beings in my world that they follow, that they're basically like, they could be men and women, but I call them the Harbingers. The Harbingers of War. Or basically they have the same function as the Valkyries, where they go down to the mortal realm and get fallen warriors to bring back to like a Valhalla-like realm. It's like a Valhalla-like realm. They go to a meat hole. It's basically like Valhalla with the depiction of it, with the roofs and the depiction and the imagery. And they go out every once in a while to hunt or they fight, and they get brought back to life the next day. So it's kind of similar to that, but also the Yisgard setting that I found is basically inspired by Norse mythology as well. So it's kind of similar to that as well It's a mixture of both of those two ideas. Given that want to do more like make like a Ragnarok like event in my own world, because one, given Norse mythology is the main inspiration for my pantheon and my creation myth, and given the wording of the world, the naming of the world is Yggdra, I kind of want to give it more like a Norse inspired apocalyptic ending, like a reboot type of thing. But that's for later. But overall, yep. The Valkyries are very nice. I like them. Have to workshop it a little bit more, but that's kind of one of my ideas for it.
Yet, they were burdened with Freya's willingness to move on.
Okay, let me skip ahead to the end of this video here. So basically, in the end, Vegeta and Goku fuse to fight Odin. They were to beat him. And basically, now that Odin is there, the spell that's holding Valhalla together is starting to fade away. So they have a chance to go back to the afterlife, or they could go back and do one more round of life. But basically, what I want to do, because in this case, and kind of like how Marvel did it, it's always Valhalla. No, Ragnarok is a cycle that happened again and it's like a cycle of repeating over and over and over again. Well, in my case, in my version, Ragnarok is a one-time event. It's a one-time only thing. So when it happens, it happens. And there's only one Ragnarok event, and that's it. Like the only thing I would say would happen after that would be like the Nighthog dragon would be its own thing. But that's for a later story. All right, so overall, I'd say I'm going to wrap it up here. If you got any more videos you want me to look at, feel free to leave it in the comment section down below. And you've got some more content like this, give some feedback. You can make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, all that good jazz. So until then, have a nice one.